Hi guys, it's Jeff Gibby here in the studio. Wanted to thank you for watching my video. We're going to be recording a little bit of a demo on Joe Duffy and his Scoupe system. So thank you for watching. Let's go ahead and get going. I want to tell you a little bit about Joe Duffy, just in case you're not familiar with him. Joe is a friend of MetaStock. We've been working with him for a number of years, and he's actually a 3-time finisher in the US-based World Trading Championships, and has actual real money annualized returns of 121%, 243%, and 432% in those contests, respectively. He's managed a prop FX for one of the world's largest banks and actively trades positions for those banks. And right now, he's currently an advisor to a hedge fund. As a trade, he does a lot of system development, and as you might imagine, he's very systematic in the trading that he's done. So today what we'd like to talk about is a Scoupe product. The Scoupe product is a product that he's built. It's exclusively built for MetaStock, and it's a product that's exclusive to MetaStock. And it uses a lot of the techniques of what he does in his trading to kind of show you entry and exit points. And I'm going to kind of go through, spend a few minutes with you, maybe 20 minutes with you today, to show you how all of those put together and how they work. The one thing that I read in his manual that I really liked was the trends do not die without a fight. As you might guess, this is a trend following system. Actually, it's a collection of 2 trend following systems. And basically, in a nutshell, you may have heard kind of the story that the trend is your friend, or a rising tide lifts all boats, or things like that. What this methodology and what he is looking to do is find clear, persistent, strong trends, look for a pullback and a good entry opportunity. And I'll show you how that works. But that's really kind of what he's looking to do, is trade with the trend. So let's go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about the systems that are involved in here. He's got an API S&P 500 system. The API S&P 500 system is built to trade the S&P 500. And then he's got the Scoupe trading system. I'm going to give you an overview of both and how they work and how they're put together. So the API S&P 500 system is designed to, like I said, to work with S&P 500s. In the package that we're selling, it has 2 versions of the API S&P 500. The fact that it's built for S&P 500 is great. It means you can use it to trade the ETF. If you're interested in it, you can actually use it to trade the futures contracts. You can trade options on the S&P contracts. You can trade constituents of the S&P. There's so many products that are built around the S&P 500 that regardless of whether you're a stock or an options or an FX or I should say a futures or an ETF trader, you're going to be able to find an instrument you can use with it. There's actually 2 versions of the API. Both of the entry mechanics are the same in both systems. It's the exits that different. In the first version of the API system, basically the mechanics are market driven. So it'll get you out of the market based on what the market is actually doing. In the second version, it's basically a time-driven. So you'll get in and you'll get out based on the time circumstances that he's got programmed into it. I want to go into a MetaStock chart and just show you how this looks on a chart and how you can use it. And then we'll kind of delve into kind of what the Scoupe system is and what it does. In here, I've got a chart of the S&P 500 ETF. And I've kind of zoomed in, I've attached the expert advisor that's called API S&P version 1. Okay. Down here, you'll notice that he's measuring the trend. Right now, we've got a bullish ribbon on the chart. And basically, this is a short-term trading system. You'll notice as we're kind of look at these trading examples that generally, even though this is done on a daily chart, it doesn't hold for very long. You'll notice here we bought and then we sold 3 days later. Here we bought and we sold 3 days later. Here we bought and we held on to it for a little bit longer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 10, 12 days. But it's a fairly consistent swing-based trading system. Okay, the API S&P 500 system is actually also very automatic, meaning I can open up this chart, I can apply the expert advisor, and it's automatically going to generate the buy and sell signals. If you're familiar with MetaStock, then you're also going to be familiar with the commentary feature, and let me show you how that's implemented into the software in case you're not familiar with MetaStock. So if we come in here to view, I'm going to go ahead and click on View Expert Commentary. I'm just going to kind of put the commentary on this date, you'll see there's a little black triangle right above the bar. That basically means that's the day that this commentary that's on the right-hand side is actually referring to. Okay, so if we're looking at it today, it's going to say that the current trend is bullish, which we can see because it's got a bullish ribbon at the very bottom. A new buy signal has occurred, and that you should open at the you should enter at the open of the next day and monitor the chart for an exit signal. So as long as you're in the trade, it's actually, or as long as you're kind of watching the chart and open it up once a day, it's going to alert you if there's a buy condition. If you're in a position, because it gave you a signal, it's actually going to tell you to get out of that signal. If we get to a point where we're at an exit signal, I'm just moving that commentary forward a bit. It's just going to tell you an exit signal was detected for the current long position. Exit the position at the open of the next day. So you go ahead and get out of the position. Okay, so that's the API S&P 500 system. Very, very straightforward system, designed very, very specifically for, again, the S&P 500, which makes it extremely unique. I like the fact that it's very focused and it's very centralized. To kind of give you some background on this system, Joe Duffy developed it in 2008, and he's been trading it ever since. The only thing he's actually changed since 2008 is kind of the stops and how the stops actually come in. Let's talk a little bit about the Scoupe system. Okay, the Scoupe system looks for bullish momentum, then it looks for a pullback, and then it gives you specific entries based on 3 conditions. So let me go ahead and show you how that looks on this S&P 500 chart. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the commentary window. To do that, I'll just go ahead and click on View Expert Commentary right here, and I'm going to apply the Joe Duffy Scoupe template. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the chart here. I'm going to go to Apply Template, and I'm just going to go down to the JD Scoupe template here on the list and apply that to the chart. That'll give us all the Scoupe indicators, the Scoupe momentum oscillator, and I'm just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about what's going on here with the chart. Okay. Again, what you're going to see on the bottom of the chart is you're going to see this bullish trend ribbon. Okay, so it's going to be looking right now for the trend is bullish. Right here, you've got 2 of the indicators Joe Duffy uses for measuring of trend. Right here, you've got what he calls the JD Scoupe Histogram. Now, the Scoupe Histogram is designed to measure and identify the momentum of the trend. As long as it's above 0, you're going to be in a bullish trend, and the higher the number is above 0, right here it's reaching a peak, the higher the momentum is going to be. Okay. The red indicator right here is the JD Scoupe indicator. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to measure pullbacks. Remember, what we're looking for here is we're looking for a pullback in an upward momentum if we're looking for a long position. It can also look for bearish positions using the opposite criteria, a pullback in a bearish trend. But right now, we'll just kind of focus on the bullish signals. Okay, and this is designed to measure the pullbacks and the strength of the pullback. Okay, on the chart, in addition to the trend ribbon, what you'll see right here is these blue markers, and these are bullish momentum markers. In fact, if I hover over them, it just means that the momentum is high enough based on the Scoupe oscillator to generate what Joe Duffy would consider a buy setup. Okay, so at this particular point, if the pullback starts to happen, what's going to happen is, depending on how far the pullback goes, you're going to get either a 1 or a 2 or even a 3 on a chart. Okay, and to explain these a little bit more to you, I'm actually going to show them to you in the Expert Advisor. So let me go ahead and click on View Expert Commentary again. Okay, and the thing I love about the commentary is I'm not showing you stuff you can't even just look at. So let's kind of go ahead and narrow in. You'll notice we have a 1 and a 2 here on a chart, and here we've got a 1, 2, 3. I want to show you this area of the chart because it has all 3 pullbacks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in right here to this section of the chart, and I'll just kind of give you an idea of the information it's going to give you during this system. So if I click on this here, Again, this is a bullish momentum marker on the chart. It's going to say the instrument is currently showing bullish momentum. There have been 10 days of bullish momentum in the last 2 months. This momentum is strong enough to trigger a buy setup. So what he's saying to you right now is we have really good bullish momentum. What we want to look for now is a pullback in this bullish trend that's significant enough to generate a long entry. Okay. Now there's 3 types, so I'm going to go through those. They're going to be identified on your chart with either the 1, like you see right here, the 2 right here, or the 3 right here. So if I click on the 1, a new type 1 bullish entry signal occurred. This is the most aggressive entry signal. It is recommended only when you really want to get on board the trend. If the market is in a really strong trend, it is possible this will be the only entry signal. However, this only occurs about 10% of the time. So what he's saying is this is your first warning. 10% of the time, it's not going to retrace anymore. It's just going to continue to go up. If you really want to get into this security, this is your first opportunity. Okay? In this particular case, we actually got a second opportunity here, and it's identified as a number 2 on your chart. It's automatically labeled. These labels were not drawn by me. They were drawn by Joe Duffy's Scoupe system. Okay. In this particular case, it's saying a new type 2 bullish entry signal has occurred. This is a moderately aggressive entry. Even so, there are 3 ways to react to this signal. 1, go ahead and get into the trade at the open of the next bar. Our preferred method, though, is to enter tomorrow's S1 pivot point. Following this method, you would enter tomorrow at exactly 2,339.33. Okay? Or 3, you could wait for the Scoupe oscillator to turn up before entering the trade. This reduces the chance of a trend change, but it has disadvantages of being late on the entry. So it's giving you kind of 3 advices in terms of what you could do. Number 1, you could go ahead and buy immediately on the open tomorrow. Number 2, you could wait until it goes to 23.39 and then buy. Or number 3, you could wait for an additional confirmation, which is going to be notified on the chart by this number 3 pattern. So if we go ahead and click on the number 3 pattern, it's going to give you kind of some of the same information. This is the entry signal with the lowest risk and is not as common as the type number 2. As with the type 2, you have 3 options. And again, he outlines us either 1, buy on the open tomorrow. Number 2, enter at the S1 pivot point, which would be exactly 23.2251. Or 3, wait for the Scoupe oscillator to turn up before entering the trade. Okay, so that's kind of how the system works. In addition to that, of course, we've implemented all of the tools that are available in MetaStock, including scanning, which is what I want to talk to you a little bit about now. So if I come into the Power Console, I'll just kind of show you how this works. If I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Explorer icon right here, and you'll see there's a number of scans that are available. You've got the JD API S&P 500, so if you wanted to use that, scan against the S&P 500 constituents list, for example, you'd be able to find entry signals for any stock that's in the S&P 500 right away. You've got a bearish momentum A and B. Those will list out stocks that currently have bearish momentum. You've got the bullish momentum ones. The one I actually want to show you is the Scoupe Indicator Long Entry number 1. Okay. You'll also notice there's a long entry number 2. There are 2 versions of the Scoupe. The differences between version 1 of the Scoupe and version 2 of the Scoupe is the way momentum is measured. So you might want to play with them. I have a personal preference. It's the method number 1. And then you can also scan for short entries. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the JD Scoupe Indicator Long Entry number 1. And I'm going to come down here. And I'm just going to do a scan against the S&P 500. Now, if you're using this at home, it doesn't matter what markets you're interested in. If you're interested in scanning like the London markets, you can scan the London markets. Let's say you're in India and you want to trade the National Stock Exchange of India. You can actually scan the NSE of India and find opportunities that way. Here in North America, you could scan all of the optionable stocks, the ETFs. Regardless of where you're at, Reuters has a huge array of instruments, and it's very, very likely, regardless of whether it's futures or Forex or something in Europe, Middle East or South Africa or Asia or the Pacific Islands, anything that you might be interested in finding, you can run a scan. And the advantage of running a scan is it allows me to go through and weed out all the stuff that doesn't fit a criteria. In this particular case, I'm going to be looking for long entries, either 1, 2, or 3, that happened on the S&P 500. But you can implement this on anything that you want, on almost any market in the world. So let me go ahead and start this exploration. It'll take just a few minutes to run. And now it's going to go ahead and look through the S&P 500. What you're going to find out as it goes through here is it's going to reject about 90–95% of the actual stocks that we look at, and it's going to give us a report of just the ones that hit our criteria. So now the exploration is done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reports here. And out of the whole S&P 500, basically we have about a dozen or so instruments that we can look at. Now I want to kind of show you what these means. These are all long entry signals because that's the scan that we ran. Now depending on the type, remember we just talked about kind of type 1, type 2, and type 3, they're all labeled here. So if we're looking for the most conservative entry signals, we can go ahead and scan or rank this list based on type number 3. And in that case, we'd be able to look at NVIDIA Today, Lam Research, or Applied Materials. So already, instead of looking at 500 stocks, if we're just interested in type 3, well, we've got 3 that we can look at, and we can kind of decide if we want to make a trade based on that decision, based on that setup. Right here, you've got the column type 2. I'm going to go ahead and sort by that type 2 column. And if we're looking for that more aggressive but not super aggressive entry, in that case, you could do Texas Instrument, TE Connectivity, Micron, or FLIR Systems. If we wanted to look at 2 and 3, so we'd now be up to 7 out of 500 stocks. And of course, you've got the type 1, the most aggressive entry stocks. That would be Qualcomm and Dentsply. So I think you can kind of see how even just being able to scan for the methodologies really saves you time and allows you to really focus on the opportunities and ignore all the other stuff that is going on in the market that doesn't have good opportunities. It's one of the things I love about MetaStock, and I love the fact that we can scan now for Joe Duffy's Scoupe pattern signals. In addition to that, if you're familiar with MetaStock, we do offer full system testing for both all of the API systems as well as the Scoupe systems. So if I come in here, I've actually got some system tests that I've run against the S&P 500. I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of how they look. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on, well, let me go down to the system tester first, and you'll notice I've got JD API S&P 500, Scoupe version 1 and 2. And if I want to kind of see how these performed over a given set of time, with MetaStock I can say, okay, go ahead and take all of the JD Scoupe entries and tell me how it would have worked with my account over the last year or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the report here. I'll go ahead and view this one. And you'll be able to see here we've got JD Scoupe version 1 or version 2 and JD Scoupe version 1. Okay, this was tested against an aggregate of about 500 stocks, and we can and because we tested against multiple stocks, you can see what the average net profit is, the average percent gain, the best profit, and the worst profit, the average number of trades. The Scoupe version 2 traded on average 10 times per instrument last year, and the Scoupe version 1 traded on average about 3 times per instrument on the S&P 500 last year. I can go ahead and click on View, and it's going to give me a total average profit report. And I'm going to go ahead and scan that based on average net gains. And over here, the Scoupe also, when you test, has optimized variables. So we can see based on this first system test, on average it traded about 10 times per trade. I can go ahead and click on View, and I can see how this particular system and this particular methodology worked on over 500 different instruments. And I can rank them based on profitability. Okay, we won't drive too deep into the numbers for the system tester. There's plenty of information on how all the numbers work. But in this particular case, the best performing stock was Freeport last year. it made about 67% on 12 trades. 6 of those were winners and 6 of those were losers. The next best performing stock was SW Energy Co., and it made about 53%. And with MetaStock and with the system tester, I can go in here, I can look at profitability reports, I can see how they compare with buy and hold, I can see what their profit loss index is, I can see what the risk reward indexes look like. There's all kinds of metrics I can use to kind of analyze this and see how well this particular method works against the stocks that I'm interested in. And it also allows me, because we can do multiple stocks at once, to narrow down on the securities that work very, very best with the Scoupe. It's a very, very powerful part of the program. Of course, you can also see equity curves. You can see how an equity would have actually kind of performed over time, how your equity would have grown over time, all part of the system tester that's in MetaStock. Okay, so to kind of sum it up, with the package, you're basically going to get 2 new indicators. You're going to get the JD Scoupe Histogram, the JD Scoupe Oscillator. In addition to that, you're going to get all of the explorations that are listed on the screen, including the long entries and the short entries, the API system, the momentum screeners. Those will all be included. You'll also get 4 system tests, one that's built around the API system number 1 and the API system number 2, and then 2 that are built around Scoupe version 1 and Scoupe version 2. Okay. You'll also get the expert advisors. The expert advisors are possibly my favorite part, maybe tied with scanning, because they actually allow us to give you very specific instructions on how you should enter the trade, what the S1 level is and why you should be buying it, and kind of how you would take advantage of the Scoupe systems or the API system as well. Okay. The pricing on this is a one-time cost. It's only $399. In addition to that, it comes with a full-fledged manual that you can kind of go through that carefully explains every single systems, the indicators, how to run the scans, all that kind of stuff. Comes with some advanced training that Joe Duffy's put together, and it also includes a 30-day money-back guarantee. To take advantage of that, give us a call, 800-882-3040. I love the fact that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on our products, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to go ahead and buy the program if you like what you see, and you enter it in a perfect no-risk scenario. In other words, if you don't like it, simply return it. You're out a little bit of time. If it's something that works well for you, well, then you'll be happy to pay $400. So I'd encourage you to give it a try. Give us a call, 800-882-3040. Thanks for watching the video, and as always, I'll see you at the next one.